because of, I guess, because of us, you've been looking at this industry a little bit and seeing what you see from. So, what do you think from the perspective of kind of an outsider looking in, just getting his toes wet? Um, what seems to stand out for you and interest you the most in this sector that you've seen so far? There are no
Yeah.
wrong answers to this question.
I mean, I can go in various different directions, Tom, right here, but it would really just be all the money that's going into the space industry, especially with all these new companies coming out that we've never heard of. Like you said, some of those companies that you were seeing headlines of, and you're like, oh, wow, $9 million here or the funding here. It's really about how much money's in the industry and how many of these companies are trying to get government contracts to help fund, obviously, their company specifically. But obviously, you got the juggernauts like SpaceX out there that are really getting kind of the forefront of all the companies, especially in the space industry now. No, it's definitely very much interesting, especially with the defensive funding and spending, if you would.
Okay. Okay. Um, so obviously, I mean, you've probably noticed that SpaceX is pretty huge. You mentioned because of its size. Does that concern you at all as far as competitiveness going forward in the future?
Yeah, I mean, especially in the financial industry, we talk a lot about monopolies and how those can be definitely be very dangerous, especially when you're talking about IPO offerings and stuff like that there. But definitely having these big companies and so many companies out there, you kind of have to be worrisome for those little guys, like you guys talked about.
Hmm.
What's going to happen to them, and can those actually flourish and survive, if you would?
It's crazy because when you say the little guys, you're talking about Blue Origin with 20,000, 15,000 people. You're talking about Stoke, who probably has 1,500 people, 1,200 people. Relativity, Rocket
Rocket
Lab,
Lab,
probably a couple thousand
Planet,
people each of them, right?
yeah.
Planet, yeah. It's like the little guys in our industry would be giants anywhere else. It is quite strange how that plays out. Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, it definitely is, Michael. It's funny when I say the little guys as well, especially when so many people are working for those companies and really making those companies relevant to be on the headlines we read every
Yeah,
single week.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But you know what? I mean, I worked in tech sector for 31 years. So, I was in IT in tech sector. And so, yeah, there were big guys and little guys there too. But most of the little guys actually ended up doing okay. Because they found a niche and that nobody else really wanted, or they could do something really well that the rest of the guys couldn't. And here they kept their independence and they kept their moving the needle, or they ultimately got acquired by somebody. So that seems to be the way it goes. Um,
Yeah, no, I mean buyouts happen all the time, especially when there's a bigger fish out there that's really interested in what that smaller fish or smaller guy's doing. I mean, you hear about buyouts that happen in the news or buyouts that we don't even hear about until they happen.
yeah,
Mhm.
just like last week when we were talking about this a week ago.
Right,
Maybe it was last Monday. We talked about that company that Elon wants to acquire. Maybe he acquired it already. For like they were a startup
oh
company
yeah,
not long
Cursor.
ago. Now
Right.
they're getting
He's
60
buying an
billion.
AI company. Yeah, right.
You
$60
know,
billion for an AI company uh, that wouldn't have been on our radar at all for any reason except SpaceX folded XAI into their corporate structure, and now XAI needs to buy a an AI company, Cursor. So yeah, it's
now everybody wants to be the next them. You know,
I confess I wouldn't mind being SpaceX these days.
okay.
They're not my favorite company, but still being able to do what they do and that market reach that they're going to have is remarkable. So
Yeah.
good for them.
But I want to get back to the original question because again, we're bringing you out here because you're literally you're a guy from the outside looking in,
Yeah.
and we don't get a lot of those, that are actually interested in what we're doing. So I'm
No,
really interested in your perspective.
Yeah.
So far, what are you seeing, or what do you think you see, and what really do you like, and what really concerns you?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes back to my point before. It's really the government contracts that they're giving to certain companies over others. And if that means kind of favoritism, if you would, or those companies like SpaceX that are going to do the big things because they have that backing, that's something that I'm excited about because of the innovation of what they can accomplish, and worrisome given that some of these companies are leaving behind companies that actually have great potential.
Okay. What, we spend a lot of time towards the end of the show talking about crystal balls and what do you think the next 5 and 25 years are going to look like? And I'm going to ask you that later. But in a way, that is your job, is to have a professional crystal ball. So are you applying that to our sector at all? Like, are you thinking about it kind of how the space sector influences just normal everybody's day-to-day life? Is that on your radar yet?
Yeah, I mean, Michael, it's really one of those that, especially in my spots here, we really focus on the planning aspect, so we don't try to guess. If you would, I feel like guessing or picking a single stock can be very risky, some, especially depending on the personal side or that family or individual where they are in their life. But I definitely think keeping on top of mind, especially the innovation that's going into the space industry and kind of what could they accomplish in the future, especially how much money's in it, is something that we definitely think about a lot in the financial industry. But it's definitely not one of those that 5 years from now, 25 years from now, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen, especially since we didn't really know what was going to be accomplished in that Artemis takeoff there and circle on the moon there. And it's a great accomplishment there, but really the sky's the limit for the space industry.
We sometimes talk about dual use technology where there's a military application and there's funding a customer from that side of the world. And then there's also a commercial sector application. Kind of an overused example in our field is counting cars in a Walmart parking lot is an indicator of whether there's a healthy economy or a recession. But that same technology applied to the Strait of Hormuz is going to give you a very different answer and a very different world outlook. Our industry really does depend on that dual use technology, almost, maybe not all, a heavy percentage of, especially the satellite companies, 80% of them are dual use tech. Even the professed hippies at Planet Labs that did not want military contracts, like they started their business focused on not having military contracts. Even now, as a publicly traded company, they were essentially forced to get government contracts, federal defense contracts. That's probably a nuance that's lost on just about everybody that's not in that sector. Is that something you were aware of?
I definitely was not.
No.
You're definitely
Right,
bringing
yeah,
some news to
yeah.
me, Michael.
As a kind of a piece of advice, when you start looking at our sector, we have a sage in the industry. His name is Michael Mealing. His comment is, "Who's the customer's customer?" And trying to understand, this is the company that you're evaluating. Who feeds that customer, right? Where is their money coming from? and it almost always breaks out into defense sector and commercial sector. And Hawkeye 360 is going public because they mastered the defense sector side of the equation. So, yeah, as you look into this industry, understand where the companies are making their money. That's pretty darn important here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely think, especially understanding where the funding is, you can really dictate the future of some companies even before they have that great breakthrough. Especially when the funding's there, typically it's only a time equation before something does happen there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, in some of these sectors, it's really almost like with AI right now. It is almost like Michael says about winning the lottery. You're in the right spot at the right time, and all of a sudden, oh, all this money wants to come dumped into my sector, and all I have to do is tweak a few things, and I can get some. And so, and everybody, we've said this on the show before. Everybody, you look at these big things. Oh, AI a year ago we didn't notice it much. Now it's another $1 trillion potential industry all of a sudden like that almost, and we're not saying anything bad about it. We're just going, okay, Michael and I especially like, okay, how can we tap into this for a change?
Right.
And not miss the next one.
Right.